So you all added more to your contribution rates this year. You guys went from $10.50 an hour up to $10.75. All right, participation investing. Unlike the pension plan where you have to go 5 years, with the SMA, your money is yours from hour one. So as soon as you have that money, that is yours. You are automatically vested in the SMA. Okay? There are advantages for your SMA plan. The initial intention of the SMA plan is designed to supplement your monthly pension someday. Your balance, as we just discussed, is 100% yours from hour one. And then you can control how your money is invested. You guys have access to John Hancock to go on their websites, to download the app, and you can actually go in and control your investments and keep up with the market and move things around, or put yourself into a futures plan so you can make sure your money's really working for you and growing for you. And I know that our representative from John Hancock will talk more about that in detail for you. There's a lot of flexibility with the SMA plan. And as you can see, there's a bunch of options that are available to you, and I'm going to talk about those in more detail for you. But it's really great because it gives you more control, especially when you go to retire. If you need extra money for something, if you need to pull out some of your money and buy a truck or fix up your kitchen or whatever. So we'll get more into that. All right. So eligibility for the SMA. If you are under 52 years old, you have to go 2 years without working in disqualifying employment before you can take it out, roll it over, do anything with it. If you're between the ages of 52 and 59 and a half, you just have to go 3 months without iron working. And then you can't return to work until after you've received payment. And then once you hit 59 and a half or you're older, you just can't work from the time from your effective date to your payment date. And often those are the same day. And then if you're disabled at any age, you can always take out of your SMA that qualifies you to withdraw as well. Any questions on eligibility? Okay, all righty. So disqualifying employment. If you are iron working in the following states, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Wisconsin, or any of the metropolitan areas that connect and touch to those borders, then that's still going to be considered disqualifying employment. Okay? Yes?
If you're reciprocating money back and you're working out of town, does that work in the same place? I mean,
if the money's coming back. Right. So if his question was if he's working out in like Texas or Florida, but his money's being reciprocated back to the plan, then yes, it still is considered disqualifying employment because the contributions are still coming into our region, into our area. It's a great question though. Anybody else? Okay. All right, so let's talk about the optional forms of payment. The lump sum payment, you can roll over. If you roll over your money, you're not going to have any taxes withheld because you're not liquidating those funds. If you decided to take out a chunk and then you wanted to actually take it to like your bank account and liquidate those funds, you would get your money, whatever amount you're requesting, minus the 20% for taxes. And that's no matter how old you are, the government takes 20%. The partial lump sum would be if you're trying to take out to build that kitchen or buy a new truck and you just need $30,000 out of your SMA account, you can do that and leave the rest of it in there so it continues to grow for you. That's another option you have. That's called a partial lump sum. You can also, with a partial, roll it over. You have the option of rolling it over just if you want to kind of spread out your investments a little bit. That's an option for you. And you can also, there's an option to roll some over and keep some. So there's lots of flexibility with the SMA plan. The monthly payments over your lifetime, much like your pension, okay, you have an option to annuitize a portion of your SMA funds into a lifetime benefit for you and your spouse. And that's a really great option as well. And then there's also going to be annual installments for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So you would receive a payment based on the total amount you have for 5, 10, 15, 20 years until that money's gone. And then there's finally a monthly installment option once you hit 55. Let's say, you're retiring and you don't want to pay for your insurance out of pocket because you're not old enough for Social Security yet, you retired early. You can pull out $2,500 out of your SMA account and then, use that And then in the meantime, oh no, I need to buy a new car. You can still take out a partial while receiving a monthly option. And you can take 2 partials a year and still receive your monthly benefit. And then let's say, you know what, I'm going on Social Security. I don't need that monthly as much right now, or we don't need that money, extra money coming in. You can simply cancel that monthly option. And we'll talk about that. I have some examples on that too.
20% tax every single time you take that out?
If you're taking it, it's a great question. So his question is, if he's taking it out as a monthly installment, does he have to pay the 20% tax on that for every month he's taking that out? And the answer is no. Because it's considered, right, because it's considered monthly income, you don't have to pay 20% on that. However, it is still subject to taxes. So please get with your tax advisor, your CPA, and discuss what that looks like for you, because it is considered income. And that could end up pushing you into a different tax bracket. There's all kinds of consequences to just increasing your income monthly. So please talk to a tax professional about how that impacts your specific situation. Okay? All right. All right, so more about the monthly installment option. Under this option, you receive that monthly benefit. You determine how much you want before taxes. And then we discuss those eligibility rules. You have to be 55 or older to take a monthly option. You have to go the 3 months without ironworking, right, because you're under 59 and a half. You have to have spousal consent. If you're pulling out your money from the SMA plan at all, your spouse is also going to have to sign off on whatever option you're choosing, and that's because we have to have, everyone has to be on the same page. Like the pension plan, your SMA benefit will be suspended if you work more than 40 hours. So if you're retired and you are still trying to take that monthly out, and then you go back for 40 hours, but there's not going to be any kind of consequence to that. But as soon as you go over that 40 hours, you're now in disqualifying employment. And so a benefit would be suspended, just like with the pension, based on you continuing to work over that disqualifying employment allowable hours. And then you can change your monthly payment up to 2 times a year. Okay? Any questions on that at all? All right. All right, so here's an example. If Joe attains age 55 and has a $700,000 SMA balance, he files an SMA retirement application with us at the fund office and elects his monthly installment option. Joe is married and his spouse consents to the election. Joe elects to have a gross amount of $2,000 per month taken out of his SMA account. John Hancock will process that payment each month and will send him either a paper check or will direct deposit the money to his account, just like with his pension. Joe will continue to have to monitor his SMA balance, though, because, as we said before, this is not a lifetime benefit. It's there until the money's gone, right? So there's a limited amount. And then let's say that he's already retired, right? He's retired with his pension, and he gets a gross monthly benefit of $4,000 per month from the pension plan. And then Joe gets his pension benefit via direct deposit. So if he does the same thing with his SMA benefit, he would end up getting 2 direct deposits in that month, one from John Hancock through the SMA, and then one for the pension. And then the nice part about that is that if he goes on vacation or he gets sick or the weather is bad, he doesn't have to worry about trying to get to his paper check that's back at home and get it deposited. It's really nice to just know that that money is going to be in that account and you can count on that. Yes?
Yeah, so let's say after the first 12 months and he decides 2,000 is not quite enough, and he wants to bump it up, can he do that?
Yes.
At certain times, at any time?
Yes, so you can change your monthly installment amount 2 times a year. You have that option twice a year. Yep. And then you can increase it, you can decrease it, or you can stop it. And we're going to look at that next. That's the actual scenario we have next. So maybe it's one more over. But here's the disqualifying employment example. So Joe returns to work and works 40 hours in a month as an iron worker. His benefit from the SMA fund will not be affected, right? Because he's not working over that 40-hour limit. But say he returns again in a later month and works 50 hours as an iron worker. His benefit from the SMA fund will be suspended for that month, and the fund office will follow the same internal procedures that we do with the pension. So we will then go ahead and try to recoup that SMA benefit because of their age he was at, and he's forfeiting his right to a benefit if he works more than those 40 hours in disqualifying employment in a calendar year. Okay? So you have to stay in that. You have to stay at that 40 hours or less to keep your payments coming in consistently. If you want to make a purchase, Joe wants to make a purchase and needs some money from his SMA account, He'll call the fund office, request an application for a partial lump sum, just as we discussed earlier. And if approved, the benefit would be in addition to the monthly benefit he's already getting in the monthly. So it's taking that partial and adding it on to what he's already getting a month. All right, so Joe calls the fund office and wants to change his gross amount, his gross benefit from $2,000 to $2,500 per month. The fund office will provide him with a form specifically designed to select a new monthly amount. The completed form is then sent back to the fund office and the monthly amount is revised as soon as administratively feasible. So as soon as we get your forms, everything's in order, we can put forth that request, and then the next following month you'd be able to start receiving that requested increased amount. Once he hits age 52, he calls the fund office and tells them he's applying for Social Security and no longer wishes to receive a future monthly installment from the SMA fund. The fund office provides him with a form specifically designed to terminate his monthly option, and then completed form is then sent back to the fund office, and the monthly amount is stopped as soon as administratively feasible. Joe understands that when he wishes to receive any SMA benefits in the future, a new application needs to be filed. So if he does stop it because he's not needing that money right now, but then in 6 months decides, hey, you know what, I had an unexpected bill come up, I need a little bit more every month, he'll have to call in, reapply. And we send a whole new set of options based on the amount you have at that time, right? Because it's changed over time. It's still in the market. It's still changing. And we'll get you a brand new set of options where you can sign up and take out that monthly option again. Okay, any questions at all? Okay. All right, let's talk about death benefits. So if an iron worker dies before retirement, the benefit will be paid depending upon his marital status. If you're married, your spouse is automatically your beneficiary. And we just talked about this with the pension. It's exactly the same. And then if you're unmarried, it's going to go by that beneficiary card. Whoever you've designated on that beneficiary card, that is who will get your money if you are not married and something happens to you. And we can take those with us today. So if you have time to fill those out, please come see us, give them to us. We'll take them with us and update our system. So that way, you know, this is everything you've worked for. Make sure the people you love that matter to you are getting what you've worked so hard to achieve. Yes?
So same as the pension plan, if you're married, your spouse is automatically your beneficiary?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Your spouse is automatically your beneficiary if you're married. Yes.
So I'm the beneficiary because we're married.
Correct.
But then we die
Yes.
in an accident together.
Yep.
Where does that money go?
It
Because
would-
unlike the pension where if I were, you know, if you were to pass, I get the pension, but once I'm done, it goes back kind of into the fund. This is like
That's
it's
his.
money.
Correct.
But we're both gone.
If you're both dead and we have no beneficiary cards on file with any contingent beneficiaries listed,
There needs to be contingent beneficiary.
it can be. If there's not, let's say you died and you guys never put in beneficiary cards. There is a plan, right? Our plan has the rules. So the rules are that if there's no spouse, both people are dead, then it's left automatically to the children. If you do not have any children, it is then automatically left to your estate. And whoever's managing that estate would then contact us, and we would send them the proper forms, and that money would then go there. Yes, ma'am. Did you still have a question? Oh, okay, great. All right, everyone's good? Okay. All right, and next up is hardship, and I'm going to invite Ashley to come on up.
Okay, so we don't have that much more to do. We'll be over it soon. Trying to keep it as painless as possible. The hardship benefits started in June of 2020. That's the money that you have access to when you apply for a hardship. Only your profit share amount from 2020 on. So when you look at your SMA balance, you may have $400,000 in there, but the money from 2020 on is where you have the access for the hardship. So you can always give us a call. We can access that to let you know how much money you do have in your account. The hardship benefit is great to have if you are struggling through a difficult time. Alex went over all of them, but there are medical expenses for you, your child, or your dependent. Purchase of a principal residence. It doesn't have to be a first-time home buy. It just has to be your primary residence, and it has to be attached to land. Tuition and related education expenses for post-secondary education for you, your spouse, or your child. Imminent mortgage or tax foreclosure or eviction from your primary residence, and this one is available every 6 months. Funeral expenses for your spouse, your child, or your parent. And then the repair damage to your principal residence as a result of a governmentally declared disaster. I'm not sure if anybody was affected by the storms a couple months ago. If you are, you could always get us the information from the website and then we would ask for the contractor information to show how much you owe.
Is there a regulated pay on that? Like say, if you called just to say that you're behind on rent, do you only pay a certain amount, or is it?
Yes, you're going to have to show us the eviction notice from your rental office or whoever you're renting from. It could be
And that's
Joe Schmo down the street.
You have to show bill to
Correct. The medical bills, you have to show us what is past due. The bills have to be within the last 30 days, although the procedure does not have to be within the last 30 days. But yeah, we can only provide the amount up to what you prove to us that you're in the hardship for. Does anybody have any questions regarding?
Yeah, what she said earlier, that hardship thing, she said that you would be able to get a house. So is there an amount to buy a house, or
It depends on how much you have in your profit share amount, and then how much you are bringing to cash to close, or what your mortgage, your agreement with whoever you're purchasing the home with, you would still have to provide the amount that you need within that. Anybody else have any questions on hardships? Okay, so you could roll over the other defined contributions into your SMA, which is nice because you only have to pay one fee. With John Hancock, we only pay $99 each a year to keep your money invested in there. If you're looking to invest it with other people, you're going to pay a lot more than that, so it is nice to have the low fees. Once the money is rolled over into your SMA, it is subject to the SMA fund rules. It must be rolled over from a qualified plan. And then obviously the rollover forms are included in your packet if you are looking to roll over other plans. Yes.
Like when I retire, would I be able to put my money from my stuff into his?
No, unfortunately, it would have to be his.
So if he had money, say, in Champaign at 380, he could roll it over into our plan?
As long as it's a qualified plan. Okay, so the qualified domestic relations order, I'm not really going to go that in depth into it. They did touch on it. If anybody has any questions, you could come see us. The main fact that I want to focus on is it has to be a court order. It has to be entered into the court for your SMA, for your portion to be paid out. The biggest thing about quadros are the sooner you get them done, the better you are. You cannot take out money from your SMA or retire until we have a quadro completed if you have one on file. It takes a little bit of time because we have to send it to our actuary. Sometimes it takes a couple months. That's delaying you from getting your money that whole time until we get it straightened out. So if you are divorced and you have a quadro on file, get it to us sooner rather than later. It just helps you in the long run. We get the finances split out. She's getting her money, you're getting your money, and everything's separated.
And it'll show up on your monthly statement, so you'll know ahead of time.
It will show, yes. Anybody else questions? All right. So this is the John Hancock number for our iron workers, the 833-388-6466. This is the number that we would give you if you call and you want to get a hold of John Hancock. And then the myplan.johnhancock.com is the website that you're going to go to handle your plan. Yes, of course.
Do you have to take out of your SMA? You talk about like withdrawing monthly, but if we're retired and we're living well enough off of our pensions, and we don't need the SMA to live our day-to-day life, we have to be withdrawing that.
No, we don't force you to withdraw it once the member gets to a certain age. It all depends on the year that you were born. The government has a thing called the required minimum distribution, and they will require you to take out a portion that is based on the taxed amount that's in your account. And John Hancock sends you the forms for that. Probably your age, I would say, probably wouldn't happen until about 74, 75, but they step in and force you. It's really out of our hands for that. Otherwise, no, you don't have to take your money out with retirement. You can let it sit in there and work for you as long as you would like.
I noticed several times you mentioned 55. What if I retire at age 53? Am I not able able to withdraw that money until 55?
No, you are. You're just not able to have access to the monthly installment until age 55. For anything under 55, the real rules just are you have to be off from iron working for 55 to 52, you just have to be off for 3 consecutive months. Everything under 52, it's 2 years.
Once you're retired, is there penalties for withdrawing the SMA?
You're going to get hit with a 20% federal withholding regardless. We don't take any penalties from you. Yes. 20% is coming off even if you're 90. Unfortunately, the government's getting their portion. We can't do anything about that.
Around 53, start withdrawing at 53 or 55?
If you're under 59 and a half, you may be hit with a 10% additional penalty. 55 and up, you generally aren't, but we always recommend tax questions like that to talk to a tax advisor. We can only guarantee that it's going to be the 20% off the top.
But it's never more than 10%.
Correct, from the federal government when you file your taxes after, yeah.